Well, here we are.
Yep.
246.
2-4-6-8.
If we make it to 2468,
okay.
that'll be pretty crazy.
That would be nuts.
But this is episode 246. This is our best movies of the year episode. This is always the biggest episode, the longest episode, the most nerve-wracking episode. We're going to try to stop it from being the longest episode this year, but we're still going to probably have the nerves going into it.
It was a good year. I feel like movie-wise it was a good year, but my list didn't quite move around as much as it did in previous years. And I think some of that has to do with, like, there are a lot of statement movies to me this year. Like, there were a lot of things that were just like, I have not forgotten about them, no matter what time of year they came out, and they kind of resonated. So I found that certain positions didn't change, and then something Steve kind of mentioned, like the...
Wait, which one's Steve?
The bottom...
I'm confused. I'm always confused. Which one of us is Steve?
Oh, that would be me.
All right, so...
I'm Ron.
And I'm John.
So the bottom three just kind of switching around, and maybe 10, 11...
Yeah, I had that. Yeah,
10,
we were
11,
talking
12.
briefly before we recorded. Like, that's been my biggest problem. Like, the movies that were, like, I guess 8 through 1, like, they're gonna be on my list, whatever movement there is. Like, you know, that's kind of shifted a lot over the past couple weeks when I tried to watch a bunch of stuff to get ready for this episode. But, like, the 9, 10, 11 has been, like, stressing me the fuck out because there's a movie, there's one movie that's not gonna get in, and you know, it's just like, which one will it be? You know, and I'm trying to think of, like, I'm looking at this list, and I kind of went through some of our last episodes for, like, year-end stuff, and even my personal list that I've updated in years since when I've rewatched stuff. And I'm like, you know, I'm trying to think of, like, movies that I know, like, over time, like, which ones are the most likely, like, they're not going to remove themselves from this list. You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be staying power. It's not just the now moment of it. You know, it's more of like these things are going to be ones that I'll talk about 5 years from now, whether they're on my list and what their slots are, but the fact that they are some of my favorite movies, period.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, that's really what I tried to keep in mind while making this list. And just to put it out there, I feel like I've always wanted to mention this on these episodes and I never remember to, but, like, I'm a list guy. I fucking keep lists for everything. I maintain it, like, to a very bad level of perfectionism. But, like, what drives me nuts listening to list shows is where everything has to be prefaced with, this is our favorite list. This is not the best movie of the year. You know what I mean? Like,
well, to say it's the best would mean that we are somehow robots using an algorithm, and that we've all watched every movie.
That's
my
point.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like, I love certain podcasts and certain bloggers, whatever, but it literally is one of my pet peeves when they, like, when it has to continually be repeated that, like, these are my favorite movies. These are not my best. I'm not trying to be like a punk or like to shit on anybody, but, like, it goes without saying, the movies that we're going to be talking about today are our favorite films of the year.
Yeah.
Like, that, and I only say because I just mentioned that I'm trying to think of, like, 5 years from now, am I going to be thinking of movies that are on this list the way I think of movies like Prisoners, or, you know, like movies that are Sicario, like movies that when I think of 5 years ago still are movies that I would immediately come to mind for me.
Yeah.
And there are some on this list that I know will.
Yeah.
And, you know, but those 9, 10, 11 spots like you're mentioning, those movies may not. So I'm like, why am I killing myself about this? But maybe they will. Like, maybe I'll rewatch it in a year and be like, fuck.
Well, it's
I
like
did
these
not
are
give
all
it the
movies
attention
I
it needed.
love, probably, I guess I would say, or that I think are great.
Yeah.
And some of them I think have issues, and some of them might be ones where I almost think they're more interesting. That's why I love them.
Yeah.
And some movies I love because they're flawless.
Yeah.
Or because they're close to that. So I think, there's a lot of different reasons why I would say movies I love. But yes, if that's what best means, then yes, these are my opinion, the best movies of the year because I love them. Lately, there's been a lot of talk about decade.
Yeah.
Best movies of the decade.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how I would do that, except to maybe cross-reference all the lists I've made for this show.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to get what you guys think about this. I don't actually have a dog in this fight. Do you think that 2020 is the start of a new decade, or do you think it's the last year of the last decade? And if there is a compounding... Let me put it this way, because this is the best way to point out the confusion. If a movie comes out in 1980, did it come out at the end of the 70s or at the beginning of the 80s?
Beginning of the 80s.
Okay. So we are saying that 80 is a new
Yeah, I
It's a new
guess at the
decade
20.
then.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
The
I
next.
just want to say we all kind of agree on that.
Okay.
So, do you think we would ever need to? How would we even do of the decade? Like, I thought about it,
geez.
suggesting it
That'd
to you
be
guys,
hard.
but I feel like it would take too much research.
Yeah. I don't
Well,
know.
being the neurotic person I am, I could
Yes.
just look at my number ones
Yes.
for every list that I made.
I'm just gonna do it that way.
But well, I mean, I could, but that's an example though. Like maybe my number one of the year. Now that for 10 years has gone by,
Yeah.
maybe my movie from 2010, maybe it's not my number one, or maybe some other film on my top 10 list that I still loved has affected me in a different way that makes me, want to put it on that list more.
Well, you know what? For us is kind of interesting is that next year it'll be 1 decade of movie schmovie.
Wow.
Wow.
So maybe that's when we can do our decade look
Yeah.
back. So
That's a good idea.
we've got a year to get prepared for that. Next spring it'll be 10 years. Can you guys believe it?
That's craziness. That is craziness.
Yeah, I'm still the new guy, but you guys have been doing this almost 10 years.
I'll go first.
All right,
If you don't mind.
Give us your 6 through 10.
Or 10 through 6.
Number
Yeah.
Speak Ronald here,
Yes.
John.
number 10. Number 10.
I'm going to write these down.
Number 10.
Really?
I always write your guys' list down.
Okay,
'cause
number
I like
10.
to look at this kind of stuff. I'm weird like that.
So if I honestly, Steve, I wanted to cross-reference that. Do you have? I want to see all the data you've got on our best of lists because I wanted to actually look at my own lists and I don't have them in any one place because I'm
okay.
not organized like you.
Oh,
are.
John. Dear John.
Okay, let me
Let me
know when
pull
you're
up
ready.
let me pull up my notes real
I kind of
quick.
want to say, can I copy your homework that you
Best
did?
of 2018. What would you like to know, John?
My best movie was Spider-Verse, right?
Correct.
Okay.
What was your number 10 movie?
Oh, what movie did I? The 10 spot is you give that to a movie that you want to make sure makes your list, but that you're kind of conveying that this is number 10. It barely made it. I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you.
Hereditary.
Okay, I stand by that.
Ronald, what was your favorite film last year? I think you get both of these wrong.
Get Out?
No, that's a different year.
No, what was it?
Black Panther.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what your number 10 was?
No idea.
Ready Player One.
Okay. I stand by that. That might be higher now.
Yeah.
I think it's way higher.
That was your...
Oh man,
Sheesh.
Steve,
What
the
was
fact that you
yours?
have that information, it's kind of getting me excited. I
Yeah.
really want a copy of that.
Dude, you guys, you know your boy. I can't help but have this information.
Okay.
All right, yeah, well,
All right, well, I'll share it with you.
Yes.
I'll share my Evernote.
because
really good.
here I have this idea that it would be fun to take all of our number ones, and then like rate those the way we do it with like a numerical list. And actually come up with like the movie schmovie canon of like what are the top 5 best movies of movie. Maybe we'll get that ready for next year since that's
Yeah.
when we've reached a decade.
Okay.
Okay, but hit it.
Number 10.
Number 10,
Booksmart.
Booksmart.
Number 9. Last Black Man in San Francisco. Number 8. Farewell. Yeah. Number 7.
If you think that's a drum roll, that's me purring.
Oh, okay. Number 7, Uncut Gems. And number 6, Knives Out.
Knives Out.
All right.
That's Mr. Ronald James right there for you guys.
All right. I guess I'll do my 10 through 6. Beep, bop, boop. Here we go. I lost my glasses today, so this is
I saw your
actually-
post. You mean you threw them out?
No, you know what happened? I was coming around here to the side and I was getting rid of the Christmas tree, and the dogs were in the yard and I didn't want to let them out, so I threw the Christmas tree over the fence.
Oh.
And when I did so, it hooked onto my earbuds and pulled my earbuds with the tree as it flew over the
Oh,
fence.
no.
And then I looked at that and I said, "Oh, I got to get my earbuds." So I came up back around, I got the earbuds, and then I carried the tree around to the trash and left it out back, and the trash ran and they picked up trees today. So I'm pretty sure my glasses were snagged on the Christmas tree that I threw away.
Oh.
And it didn't occur to me until later in the day that that's what had happened, because I didn't know that I'd had my glasses on my, hitched in my collar like that.
Yeah.
And so it's like it was only later when I'd searched the whole house and
Sure.
realized they weren't anywhere else that I
Sure.
started going,
Jesus.
when could I have lost them? And I've never been wrong yet when I do that. Like, wait, when did I lose them? Oh, it was probably when I was bagging leaves. And I go out back and I find them. You know?
Yeah.
And so it's like, no, they're not back there. That tree was wearing my glasses. And the guys, for the first time ever, like showed up with,
quickly.
in a timely fashion.
That's crazy.
All right, so hopefully I can read this list. Number 10, little paint by numbers, but I love seeing the star have fun. My Name is Dolomite.
Oh.
Number 9, Little Women. Number 8, Dr. Sleep. Number 7, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. Number 6, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I didn't get any drum rolls or purrs or anything. I felt very anticlimactic. I'm going to do that again. You guys act a little more excited.
We'll
Number
add them
6,
in. We'll add them in
Once
later.
Upon a Time in Hollywood. Oh, you don't do the drum roll after and then a snake came in.
Good picks, John. Good picks. All right, so I'll go through my 10 through 6 right now. Number 10 is How to Train Your Dragon 3. Number 9 is Dr. Sleep. Number 8 is Long Shot. Number... Yeah.
Forgot about that. That was a good movie.
Yeah, stuck with me all year.
Seems like it.
What was that? Number 7, Uncut Gems. And number 6 is The Irishman.
Ooh. So we just
Whoa.
narrowly escaped having to have a more detailed discussion of The Irishman. But since you just left it there was so much information about that movie.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of The Irishman as a movie once it just existed as a movie and
So
it
to
wasn't...
clarify, it's not on either your list any higher?
No,
It's not on my list.
I wanted the Irishman shut out.
Shut out. Okay.
Shut out.
Sorry, Ronald.
Wasn't a terrible movie, but I feel like the way that people were talking about it, people were acting like this movie walked on water, and I had an issue with that. But the acting was so good.
You know who was incredible in that movie?
Al Pacino.
Joe Pesci.
Pesci, man.
Pesci shows
When
up
he got
and
older.
doesn't he doesn't
Steals
raise
the
his
movie.
voice once in
Yeah.
this movie.
Steals
Like,
You're
who
right.
the fuck predicted that?
You're
And I
right.
read somewhere where he said to Martin Scorsese, like, is this the scene where you want me to kind of go Joe Pesci? And Martin Scorsese was like, no, this guy
not.
wouldn't do
You're
that.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so true. There's a couple of moments he said something that's so cold and so final, and it's just...
Yeah.
But here's my thing about The Irishman. I feel like in the last hour and a half, it really reveals what the movie really is. And I wish it didn't take me literally 2 hours
Right.
to get to that movie.
Yeah.
Because the movie about the guy who's caught between his job and his friend and his daughter, I think that actually is something new.
Right.
But I spent a lot of watching the movie, I mean, admittedly, thinking about the digital de-aging because that's what everybody was talking about.
Yeah.
But I did spend a certain amount of time watching it just going, what is this movie? Why does this exist? Why did they come back and do this? You know,
Right.
like it didn't feel as much like a new... Like, you've already done Goodfellas, you've already done Casino. You know what I mean? Once I got the why of this movie, I really liked it. But
Yeah.
I felt like I had to sit through more than I wanted to sit through to get to the why of this movie. Maybe if I saw it again, I would feel differently. I don't think it's like... The people that were down on this movie were really talking shit about it. It is an odd choice, maybe, to do the de-aging and have that be such a central thing. But I think if you were watching the movie without all that preamble, all we would have said was, there were some weird moments. But
Some
you know
people
what I mean?
couldn't tell though. Have you talked to people
I
that
mean,
couldn't tell?
I personally, not to get too much into The Irishman,
Yeah.
since we were just naming it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a few scenes where I feel like it's very problematic and it looks not that great. But for the most part, I did not personally find it bad at all. I thought some parts looked actually quite stunning.
You know why? It's because in those scenes, Steve, they were trying to make Robert De Niro, who's like 70, look like 50. It wasn't like trying to make him look 20.
Sure.
There was a lot of
Yeah.
scenes where he just looks like a younger, old guy.
Right.
And I think that stuff looked fine.
and like the Pesci, Pacino stuff. But I was going to say the only thing that really kind of grabbed my eye that looked off, I thought you were about to just mention it, but it wasn't what you were going with. It was just the fact that you have a 70-year-old man.
Oh, the physicality.
Physicality of like he's in his 50s, 40s, whatever, kicking
Beating
someone, beating someone
Beating
up.
a 20-year-old up.
Sure, right. Like that, I feel like they probably should have done differently.
Yeah.
But, obviously it didn't factor into my enjoyment of the film. I thought it was great.
When he
and-
threw the gun, it was kind of an old guy throw.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I
Little
mean, like
things.
it's an old guy. Like he's old. Like they probably should have approached that different. Maybe the facial stuff was a different. They've done that with other movies before, where they have like the body of something else. And they've done this physical transformation on the face. But I guess whatever type of technology they used wasn't like a full remapping of a face. It was like on top of the person that you're doing the CGI for. But
Yeah.
but I'm curious. Did you guys watch it in one sitting?
I watched it in one sitting.
More or less. I did at a couple points. I was like, no, I can't watch this and do other things. And I was like sweeping. But within like, I would say a 3.5 hour movie, I watched it in like a 4.5 hour window or something. Cool. The one thing I would say too about the kind of cult, like not the sort of magic of the movies, is that we accept when we see Robert De Niro playing an old man, if they throw in a flashback of that character and he's just made up to look younger, we accept that. And a lot of times people are just playing younger characters, and we don't really think about the movie language of that. Like I noticed that especially in My Name is Dolomite, where Eddie Murphy is older than Rudy Ray Moore was when he made these movies. And you can see it in some moments. He looks like he's pushing 60 rather than pushing 40 or something. Yeah. But you just accept that. Like, we want Eddie Murphy to star in this movie as this character, so we're going to accept a certain amount of hair and makeup are going to convey that. Laura Dern says at one point in Little Women that she's almost 40. And I'm like, well, okay, Laura. If you say it, I'll believe it. But she doesn't look almost 40, but you want Laura Dern to play this character in this movie. Do you know what I mean? Sure. So I feel like there's a certain amount of we've always accepted it, and maybe we've accepted actors who remain current and relevant into their older age. We've accepted them playing younger than appropriate. So it almost seems like it's an odd thing that Martin Scorsese even fucked around with it at all. Yeah. Because from what I hear, it made it a bit more complicated of a shooting process that he never quite had faith in. More so than the makeup or the de-aging, though. The contact lenses were the most off-putting thing. Those like bright blue eyes. Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. So I guess I have to say my number 5.
Do your number 5.
All right. My number 5 is the worst best Tinder date of all time. That's Queen and Slim. Queen and Slim, written by Alina Waithe, directed by, I always mess this lady's name up.
Is it Melina Mazukas?
Yes. Beautiful movie, uncompromising in its dialogue and its perspective, but doesn't feel like it's discriminating against everybody. It just sticks to what it is. Mm-hmm. And it invites, rather than trying to make this movie work for everybody, it invites you into its world. So like if you're not too familiar with the way that people talk to each other in this movie, because it's very distinctly interesting, it still is a beautifully told love story about a couple who is very unlikely in their union and their development and how they get to know each other. And some of the best performances I've ever seen. And a surprise one from Bokeem Woodbine, who steals the fucking movie. Like,
he's kind of like the best thing in the movie.
He is.
He really is. He's amazing.
When he pops
When does he not steal something, though?
Yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah.
That's true. When he pops up in this, he shifts the movie so much because it's grounded in this like sadness. When he shows up, he makes it so light. And he's such a fragile dude in this kingdom that he's created. You know, and this, I think that everybody can relate to the idea that, like, you may feel like nobody treats you well outside of the world. When you come in the house, you know, the person you love treats you like a king. You know, whatever version that is. Sure. It's just done in a way that I hadn't experienced before. It's a heart-wrenching movie. Really good performances by the two stars, Jodie Turner-Smith and Daniel Kaluuya. Just really good movie. So
he's always good too.
Yeah.
I don't know the actress, her work, but
I think is it her first?
This is her first. Yeah,
or
like she's
maybe one of, if not the first.
She's done like shorts and stuff like that, but and appeared in music videos, but she's never done a full-length feature.
Queen and Slim. All right, my number 5.
Real quick, did we mention our plan to like not about our ideas? Like if we mention a movie,
yes,
basically if somebody has it higher, just to clarify as we're getting into the conversation, if somebody says a pick for one of their top 5 films, and any of us have it higher on our list, we'll basically just call that out and say It's
almost like you buzz that person.
Yeah, like we're gonna hold the conversation,
say, not yet,
and talk more about that in a moment.
Right.
For example, if this plays out, like neither of us have Queen and Slim in our top 5.
Okay.
Whereas in the past, one of us might have been holding that like a card close to our vest. Right. No. Right.
Got it.
My number 5 movie, a movie that we've already talked about a bunch, but what an achievement. Endgame.
Let's hold that conversation.
All right.
Yeah.
Not to.
No, I like this.
I had a feeling it was coming, so I was like, I got to get that out so our listeners know we're not going to talk about the same thing 3 different times.
Yeah, I will hold my in-game thoughts to whenever someone else reveals that it's higher on their list. But what's cool about that is that could have 3 levels to it.
Yeah.
Because you could name it as your number 4, and Ronald could have it as his number 2 or something.
Yeah.
So this is exciting.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my number 5 is, let me just make sure I have the right one. I didn't have to say it earlier because I think it was in your 10 to 6, but it's not. My number 5 is Knives Out. You had that in 10 to 6, right?
Yes.
You might want to hold that conversation.
All right, cool. Perfect. I like this. I like this. You're number 4, Ronald.
My number 4 is Avengers Endgame.
Okay.
Let's hold that conversation on.
Yeah! I love this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
This is helping your deadline.
Yes.
I have a feeling this conversation can happen now. I really love The Lighthouse.
You can go ahead and have
What a weird...
I did not... So...
What a weird movie, man. Like, honestly,
Did you see it?
No.
The first half of it, I
tried
thought
to watch it.
I was thinking like this is one of my favorite movies of the year. And then the second half, it was so weird. It kept it's like it kept that. You know how when you start watching a movie and you start thinking maybe this is my favorite movie of the, or maybe this is, I can't find anything wrong with this movie. There's so many things about The Lighthouse that I don't think I'll see another movie try to do. Yeah. That I was just really impressed with it. Even the framing of it. Do you know, Ronald, that it's a square picture? Yeah. They kind of invented or developed lighting techniques. It's a nightmarish looking movie. The way that it's this world kind of closing in. It's basically Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe, and they're the only characters you really get on this outpost, this lighthouse, and they're supposed to be there for 4 weeks, and it's this like backbreaking labor, crazy circumstances, but all the scenes are like they're either sitting at their table in the dark eating their food, which, you guess maybe they're eating some seafood, but it's probably not seasoned very well, so it's probably kind of dispiriting. And Willem Dafoe's knocking back the booze. It's Robert Eggers, who, I mean, I'm one of those people that went down as loving The Witch. I know a lot of people felt like that was a bait and switch horror film based on the trailer. I know that a lot of times when people talk about elevated horror, if they're being kind of derisive about it, they'll point to that movie as not a very scary movie or not a real horror movie. I found The Witch to be both of those things, really scary and a pretty good horror movie, but I understand it's not mainstream horror. So Robert Eggers, is going to do something a little bit off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Right.
This is so specific and so bizarre, and by the time it gets to the end, you just feel like you've been through something. When Annihilation, that movie had that kind of weird climax that's just like it's so totally strange, but it's also totally appropriate for this type of movie. Mm-hmm. This movie is so psychological. Willem Dafoe is fucking incredible in it, and Robert Pattinson, I mean, anything I see him in now, I'm just like, yeah, dude can be Batman. I think he's gonna kick ass as Batman. He's a really good actor. But it's the look and the feel and the very closed quarters, claustrophobic style of storytelling that really just makes this thing work. By the time you get to the end of it, you are ready for it to be over because it's such a bizarre, punishing experience. But right up to the last minute, it's throwing in imagery that is just like, okay, nowhere else are you going to get this. Nowhere else are you going to feel this way. Yeah. No other movie's trying to do this. And when I said that earlier about movies that I will look back on this year and I will want to remember, this is a movie that I will think, okay, I don't know that he's going to make another one like this. I don't know that anyone ever has quite made one like this. It's a little Shaggy Dog-ish. It's a little, of a bizarre plot line, but it's so unique and so well done. And I mean, I'm super curious about whatever his next project is going to be, because I bet it's going to be different,
This could have been my number one or not on my list at all.
You're right, yeah.
And it fell off my list because of that. Because it's such an odd... I've never seen anything like this before. Like, okay, so if there were to be a mistake in the marketing of Witch, this was the complete opposite. Like, it felt like all the steps were taken for enough of the story to be told through the trailer, through the marketing, for me to fall for it. And then once I got it, I was like, oh, this is what I expected and way more. Mm-hmm. The images that you're referring to at the end,
that last shot is fucking
two shots in the last 20 minutes. That like painting picture,
haunted me for days. I was like, I cannot get this picture out of my head. And the way the sound effects and the score kind of blend together, it's all these ominous sounds. And
there's one thing I want to point out from that movie that I can't get out of my head, and that is Robert Pattinson killing that bird.
Whew, I knew that was going to happen because, again, the trailer tells you that there's some kind of curse that will fall on you if you kill a seabird. But yeah.
The way that Robert Pattinson
when he does it
kills this bird, it is so brutal. He's like basically taking this bird and like beating it into and like kind of,
it's like hanging from his hand in a funny kind of dangling shape, when he finishes with it. Yeah. And that moment of madness, you totally feel why he did it, but you also feel I felt shame at that moment because I was like, I've like blown up at somebody or like slammed a door or something where it's like I let my anger get the best of me and I don't, I hopefully didn't bring a curse on myself when I did it. But like, and again, we don't know for sure. That's the thing. We don't know for sure. I heard an interview with Robert Eggers where he said that he could answer that question, and he's sure that people get sick of the filmmakers who can avoid that question of what was it all about. But he said he always will avoid the question because of course he knows. He said, of course I know. Everyone making the movie knew what was going on and what's really happening. Yeah. But he said the movie is, for the audience, the movie is supposed to be the thing that he doesn't want to sit there and answer questions and like demystify it. But
that's really cool.
But yeah, it feels like a myth and a ghost story and a nightmare all at the same time. Yeah, what a movie.
What a fuck! I bought it. Like I bought the movie. I bought it digitally. Like that's how I want to see it again.
And what is Willem Dafoe? Is he just? I mean, I know he's a great actor, but that character, I just bought him from the first scene, and he's basically doing like a pirate voice, But it's like you don't question it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
How many bottles of rum did they have, though? It seemed like they were tossing
50.
them. Yeah,
they had so many. It was starting to get like comically. Yeah, it was weird.
There's that one funny shot where they're both just chugging them, like trying to catch some buzz or something after that gets really crazy. But yeah,
it's weird. All right, so is it my turn?
I think it's me. That was your 4, right?
That was my 4. Yeah.
Okay, so my 4 is 1917.
You saw it?
I did. I saw it a while ago.
That was the one that I was trying to fit in the last couple of days that I thought might affect my list.
Oh, boy.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, you should see it.
So tell us why we should be sad we missed it.
It's kind of getting the press about the technological achievement that it is, and it is nothing short of that. Like what Roger Deakins, who is one of, if not the most beloved cinematographers working today, does with this film is just amazing. Just the idea of like. That the movie feels like one take, the one-er, whatever you want to call it.
I love a one take.
A single shot. Yeah. It's quite phenomenal, and
but it's not just a gimmick, right? I mean, the story feels like the kind of story where following these people minute by minute, it would gain.
Yeah, like basically some sort of version of real time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The movie's barely 2 hours, just over 2 hours, but you're following these two characters over the course of basically, I think it's like supposed to be like 12 hours, 14 hours, but. Very simple story. There's nothing like in terms of spectacle. There's nothing in terms of spectacle in what you see in a lot of war movies where there's just like battle after battle after battle.
Right.
It's more of a direct path from A to B. You have two characters that are tasked with something. It keeps the story small. It keeps the story intimate. You don't really need to know all there is to know about the First World War, which is not on screen a lot. So it's kind of cool to see what this war looked like. But keeping it small and keeping it contained to, you have to get to the line to let them know not to attack because they're basically walking into a trap. And if you don't, X amount of people will die. One of the lead characters, your brother, one of them.
Yeah.
Which is why we've chosen you. We need you to get there.
We need somebody that'll actually, is that the premise? Like, we need somebody that'll actually care enough to do it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the hook is that your brother is one of the leaders of this line, the first line. And
because otherwise it's almost cruel to tell the guy that his brother might die. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like you're trying to light a fire under his ass.
And it just puts the urgency in it. You know what I mean? So basically that's the film. And you're following from A to B to see what happens, to see if they deliver the message, to see how they deliver the message, what they go through. And just the idea of that amount of pressure in a world war, to be a young man, in the war, maybe voluntarily, one of them maybe not, because a matter of duty, and just what they kind of how they are different as men, and what they see their their role as a soldier to be. But it's just a really amazing film, amazing to experience in a theater. I'm not usually like banging the drum of like you have to see movies in theaters. Like a great movie is a great movie is a great movie. But because of this technological feat, I was able to see it in the AMC Dolby screen, which is, I mean, one of the best theatrical experiences that I've had this year. Just in terms of seeing the technology and really how I guess a filmmaker intends a movie to be felt and seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just amazing. It really is genuinely amazing. And I mean, I can see when I saw it like over a month ago, and I was like kind of surprised I didn't hear much people talking about it on like year-end lists. And I guess it kind of screened later and everything. But once the awards circles and the critics circles start coming out, like it's starting to win a lot of awards and getting tons of nominations.
You know, people talked about it more from the technological standpoint, that it almost felt like this is a movie that you would go to the Science Center and watch on an IMAX screen or something. You know, so it's like when it came out and I heard comments and I was like, oh, it's an actual movie on top of being a technical achievement.
It really is. And I mean, that's why I kind of started this commentary off by like, it's not just a technical feat. It is that.
Oh, sure.
Do not be confused.
You can tell from the trailer that it's an amazing visual.
It's amazing. And if you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff, which I've dove into after seeing the film, like how they made this movie and basically just like built this real world set of like the trenches that are like truly tracked, like that they made like keys to be able to tell how much time would pass like walking 50 feet. So they would know how much time in the movie would pass, and like, because they weren't cutting. So they were going from set to set, you know, with, you know, there are obviously cuts in the film, but they're so seamless and edited so well that it does genuinely feel like one take. And also, I mean, the lead performances are great, especially George McKay, who plays one of the leads, is just, I think, great in the movie. And, you know, you see some names pop up that you recognize their faces, like some big name actors along their journey. But the idea that the two leads are, for most people, probably unknowns, is a plus.
Oh, totally.
For the movie, because it kind of makes what's the word? Anonymity of these soldiers.
Well, I was just thinking Dunkirk did a similar thing.
That's exactly why that was so great in some ways, because it's kind of that same formula where like you see Kenneth Branagh, you see Tom Hardy, you know, you see these people, Cillian Murphy in Dunkirk, you see, you know, Benedict Cumberbatch, you see Andrew Scott, you see these people that you know their faces, but they're just they're characters along this journey, and it's kind of like a nice little checkpoint for you on this journey. But yeah, guys, you got to see this movie. Try to see it on Dolby or on IMAX screen. Some of the action sequences, while they're not like these grandiose, like, you know, Saving Private Ryan opening scene battle scenes, there are a few that are just, I mean, just crazy, like awesome. Yeah. So 1917.
Why is it called 1917?
That's a good question. I don't think they've addressed that. It's kind of thing. I'm not going to tell you.
I think that's all.
It's a twist.
Movie,
all right.
I think that's all the bullets that they had.
Yeah. I don't know. Like it really is one of the front runners this year, and I don't know that it's going to end up winning Oscars. Possibly, it could be like that kind of movie, because it's kind of like one of those Oscar movies. It's like a war film. Mm-hmm. You know, I love war movies, mainly because of like the storytelling and to see some of the filmmaking that they can employ these days, especially like Nolan did in Dunkirk and Mendes does with 1917. But yeah. Number 4, 1917.
Number 4. All right, so what's this for me? Number 3?
This is your number 3.
Numero 3.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
All right.
QT.
Yeah. At or near the peak of his powers, I would say. You know, like this one really hit home with me. I loved it.
This one felt like all of the tools that he kind of picked up over the years, put into one movie, and beautifully shot. It feels like a slice of life sort of film, which...
Yeah, was it you, Steve, that said it was a hangout movie?
Yeah.
Because it is.
It really is.
Yeah.
It really feels like, a hangout movie. You know, getting radio stations from the time, playing highway shots that are way too long on the screen, but feel very real. Like, you feel like the journey from point A to point B. It felt like a fairy tale.
Yeah.
In like the first, I mean, besides maybe Django, the first Quentin Tarantino movie that I genuinely almost cried, because you see this woman in this space who is really trying to just break out into the world and be an incredible person just within the space, and watching her see her own films. And
people said that she wasn't really a character. People that criticized the movie wanted to ding it that way. But I feel like treating her like she's some kind of angel was like, it was one of the many things Tarantino did in this movie that was like sweet.
Yeah, it was like
you don't expect sweetness from him in general, but like that's a very sweet thing to do, to like give her this kind of beautiful scene where she's at the theater seeing herself, and you don't feel like it's a narcissistic moment.
No,
it's like she's taking part in the joy of being a performer, of being an actor. I think that that aspect of it, the Sharon Tate of it all. Yeah, I was clenching my teeth, dreading the scene where it all went to hell. Yeah, and I think he did a beautiful job of sidestepping this notion of like that we're gonna relive this horror, and it becomes about something else. It like associates her with something other than the horror of the way she died, and I think that's very touching.
Yeah, I think it's something really cool, and that the dread that you have throughout the movie, like there's like 4 or 5 scenes that feel like something's gonna happen. Just like, oh no, it happens a couple times.
And you knew Tarantino was going to go there and was going to draw it out. I thought the last act of this movie was going to be like a horror show. Yeah, and it was in a different way, but in a much more enjoyable way.
Yeah, I think the choice to do that, it's just, I think, he's done it twice at this point, right?
Now we know.
Yeah, this
is something he likes to do. That if he's going back to the history, it's because he wants to fix something. You know,
that is such a cool thing to do, and I think when it's all said and done, and it's like a decade from now, and we look at his body of work, this is definitely going to be one of the most personal feeling films. That's just. Man, the Manson family felt so like everybody in it was so good.
Well, we've known all along that he loves those acting heroes of like the 70s, and to make a movie about those types of people, and also like the fact that Leonardo DiCaprio
acting
and Brad Pitt have like aged to the point that like Paul Newman, Robert Redford point of like they are old Hollywood in a way. They're like glamour, they're glitz, and and the fact that they're both so great in this. And I'm still mad that Brad Pitt did that shirtless scene just to make me look like a sack of shit, but I'll forgive him.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio is doing something different in this one, and Brad Pitt the same.
His scenes with the little girl are fantastic. Good. And again, something I wouldn't have expected from Tarantino.
Yeah, just that kid flipping his world upside down and kind of reigniting his fire, and then validating him when she says that's some of the best acting I've seen. Oh my God, I loved that. And I also thought the way that they showed the shooting of the Western, it was really cool the way it went in and out of kind of being in the world. And then like you realize there's someone there, there's someone, there's someone yelling cut or whatever. Yeah. But the way that you got to just sort of be in the moment with those actors playing actors. Yeah. I love that stuff, man. When it's done well, that kind of like twisty stuff. And we talked about it already, but the Bruce Lee stuff, I know people were very up in arms about that. Yeah, but ultimately, I think in this alternate fable world, I don't think Bruce Lee comes off that badly in this movie. No, I didn't think so. And I thought that like he got thrown into a car. It wasn't like he got his entire ass whipped. It just felt like an exchange between two people that. Right.
And you could believe he was about to unleash too before he stopped. So anyway,
it's a cool movie. That's my number
3.
Number three.
Yes. Okay.
All right. Well, my number 3. You guys have both already named it, so I know I can't be told to wait. But I don't know how much we want to talk about this movie, but the lead performance is just phenomenal. Adam Sandler kicking ass in Uncut Gems. Yeah. What kind of movie was this, guys? I mean, what is people who don't like it talk about how much yelling it had in it and how noisy and how. Yeah, but I feel like that ratcheting up of tension is what the movie is. So yes, if you don't want that, you'll think it's shrill and punishing. But if you are there for that, and if you enjoy that kind of act of sympathizing with someone, even as you see them making their life worse. It didn't even occur to me until I was close to the end that I was like, oh yeah, this guy is a gambling addict. Like every time I was like, why is he not taking this win or this way out or this window of opportunity? But every time he turned a win or something that could have been a win into let's go for more. And that scene where he's telling Kevin Garnett,
Yes, man.
This is me. This is how I win.
Yeah.
You know that when you are beating somebody, on the basketball court, and you've won the game already, you don't stop beating them.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a great monologue. And Adam Sandler, I mean, fucking A. I mean, I haven't even seen half of the quote unquote Adam Sandler movies that are out there. So I'm not someone, I mean, I don't disdain them. I'm just saying I'm not coming from that school of being like an Adam Sandler devotee.
Yeah.
But when he gets with directors who are willing to challenge him and give him something to do,
Yes.
he rises to the occasion.
He's out of this world.
Unbelievably. Man. And I think that, like, I loved him in Punch Drunk Love. I loved him in this. The podcast that Steve recommended, the A24 episode, that's Paul Thomas Anderson and the Safdie brothers who directed Uncut Gems talking about this movie. It was very edifying to me about the process of how they made it, how thoughtful those guys are.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got the idea that they were like the sort of characters that they depict, but they don't give off that vibe at all. They're very like wonky and kind of nerdy about film and film history. And so the notion that they made this movie that feels just so alive and it's just coursing with bad decisions and bad luck, and I mean, damn, yeah. If you didn't feel almost relieved at even as bad as this movie might turn in some points, if you didn't feel relief at the end, then you weren't on the same ride that I was on. Because I was glad to finally be able to step back and go, okay, I'm not going to watch this poor guy make any more bad decisions for himself. But yeah, for that 2 hours, I was just going, come on, please, just take that money and pay that guy back and go home.
Yeah.
You've got to, even if your wife doesn't like you, your mistress is pretty hot.
Out of this world.
And I like the way she was a real character and not just a piece of meat too. But everybody in it feels like somebody that you don't see in a movie almost. And I didn't know the outcome of the playoffs, so I didn't know what we were supposed to know. But I love that even though he's kind of headed off at the pass at a couple different points by other people, but his instincts are not bad. Like, this guy kind of knows how to ride the high and make that next. Like, he actually could have succeeded if people had let him in this movie, and I find that to be really interesting. But just Adam Sandler's that kind of actor. You have associations with him. You think of him as a real guy, not just a character. And so seeing him in peril or seeing him in this danger, it does add. It does add to the effect of the movie. And someone asked him why he doesn't do more dramatic roles, and he said, "I do it every time they ask me to."
Yeah.
Like, I've been in every one they've offered me.
He's so good in it.
Yeah.
Kevin Garnett wasn't bad at all.
No, he was not. He was very credible.
It's probably one of the biggest snubs of the Oscars. We didn't talk Oscars, but
I was hoping we would get to the whole snubs thing.
No love for Uncut Gems is like just a real disappointment, and him specifically. But I mean, I think he's amazing in that. One of the best surprises of the year for me. And not that I wasn't expecting to like that movie, but watching it, I was like, wow, this is fucking good.
Yeah.
It's another movie similar to what you said about The Lighthouse. It's like, it is the trailer. If you saw the trailer for The Lighthouse and thought it looked good, the movie's there for you.
Yeah.
If you saw the trailer for Uncut Gems and thought it looked good, the movie is that. It is that feeling of like, there's too many people talking at once, and like
so many moving parts. You see
that bit with the gym and he's trying to get it back from Kevin Garnett. That whole thread was so like, to me, that's like a nightmare thing where it's like you've let something get out of control and you shouldn't have done it, but you agreed to something you shouldn't have, and now you're over the barrel. Yeah.
Why was
I'm getting tense just
he
thinking
so
about
mesmerized by that? I love that he was so mesmerized by it, but I was like, why is he so mesmerized by it? But then, I mean, we all have those things that we see.
Kevin or Howie?
Kevin more than anything. When he was just kind of like, oh my god.
I like the way they played that as like, we know athletes are kind of superstitious.
Yeah,
I think that was pretty funny.
He just felt like it was a thing that he had to have near him.
And it's the idea that like it's like something that no one has. You know what I mean? Like it's that unique or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
So what did the Safdies do before Good Time?
Daddy Longlegs.
See, I don't know that one.
Yeah, that and what's the one that Caleb Joseph Landry's in? I'm having trouble remembering the other one. The middle one is what they really kind of got not known for, but in between Daddy Longlegs, Heaven Knows What. Yeah, Heaven Knows What.
Okay.
So it was Daddy Longlegs, Heaven Knows What, Good Time, this. But I think Heaven Knows What is the one that I think won a prize in one of the big festivals. That kind of like, that's where I first started hearing their name. And But I haven't seen that movie though, to be honest with you. I just know that's like kind of what their first real mainstream thing, not mainstream, festival hit was. I think they won like a writing award for it or something.
I've actually seen this documentary, Lenny Cook.
Oh, they did that too. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
man.
That's apparently great.
It's really good. Really sad too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Uncut Gems. And let's just say once again, Lakeith Stanfield
Yeah.
can't seem to be bad
He
in
can do no
something.
wrong.
Yeah, he was very naturalistic in this too. Like,
Yeah.
and another guy who just made you nervous because he's like talking past you. You know, like he's a friend, but he's also not quite a
Yeah.
friend. And I don't know. Yeah, it's full of little bits and bobs, and you feel like you could have followed any one of those characters, and it would have been a pretty interesting movie.
Yeah.
So
My
who's-
number 3? Yeah, it was 3, right?
Yes.
My number 3, is, I wouldn't say it's probably one of the bigger surprises, but I'm surprised that I ranked it so high. Only because I saw it later in the game. I missed it when it was in its original run. And I have a feeling that it may pop up on somebody else's list here. I don't know. But my number 3 is Jojo Rabbit.
That would have been my number 11.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So then I can mention.
Yes.
I'm under the Taika spell.
Yeah.
His ability to kind of thread that needle between a very, very hard conversation to have about a period of time, and just a horrible event, and with his brand of heart and humor is just it's a wonder. And watching this movie, I was just so entranced by the child performances. Talked about Julia Butters from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, amazing, and I think all 3 child actors. I mean, mainly the Thomas Mackenzie and Roman David Griffith,
Yeah,
or
that sounds
something like
right.
that. But even the little boy who plays his like best friend, like all the kid performances.
That little kid was so
kidding me?
funny.
He's hilarious.
He was hilarious, but his inflections, I don't know if that kid just really vibed with Taika.
I'd say, yeah.
But his line readings are so Taika.
It's so
It's so
Taika.
tossed off and so
it's got this like whimsy to it.
It
or like
reminded
this,
me
like,
of
wonder.
Stephen Merchant, who's in the movie
Yeah.
as well. It's like he's got that same quality
Yeah.
of like the very British sort of phrasing and just tossing it off, but like having so many like little jokes internally, and the way they always hug when they see
Yeah.
each other. And
I fucking loved it.
he was wearing a suit that he's like, is that paper? And he said, it's paper-like, is what they said.
I still haven't seen it.
You're
need to
gonna
see
love it.
Okay.
It was really sweet, and yet I think what Steve is saying that's so true about it. And honestly, it's like it's that 11 and 12
Yeah,
spot we were
yeah.
talking about. This is one that at one time it
Yeah.
was anywhere from number 5 to number 2 to number 8.
Yeah.
But like, it's the way that it handles that, and I think I can see why people would think this movie doesn't dig in deep enough into the horrors, or does too good of a job of like making you sympathize with the Germans. Because there are good Nazis in this, or there are Nazis with hearts of gold, or there are people who are Nazis, but they have more character than that. But I think that like, rather than commenting, because he's Jewish or of Jewish descent,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, he's got feelings about this. He's not just stepping in from the outside. But I feel like what this movie does is it really points to that. Whether you want to say it's a Nazi, or you want to say it's a male growing up in a toxic patriarchal society.
For sure.
When you're in a world where everybody around you is like encouraging you to follow your worst impulses and to be the worst version of yourself, it's very hard not to do that.
Yeah.
And this little kid is like, she even says to him, it's in the trailer, but in the movie it really hit hard when she says, you're not a Nazi, you're just a 10-year-old kid who wants to be part of something.
Yep.
And it's like so true, but it is very much like how people become evil. The mundane aspect of evil is, I feel like, what this movie really plays with. And it doesn't dip too far into the horrors of the Holocaust, but I feel like it would have been hard for it to maintain the tone if it had done. But I also think that we all know that, and this movie doesn't have to do that work. Similar to the way that Taika Waititi's version of Hitler that he plays is not the Hitler that we know. And there's even some anachronistic slang and stuff they throw in to make sure that we get this is a satire. This is like a different world.
Yeah.
But that idea of you're in Germany and you want to be a patriotic German at the time of World War II, well, there's your movie. I mean, there's your idea of like, who are you then? If you break against that, you're breaking against your country and your society, and you're a kid and you don't know. Well, maybe your mom knows a little bit more and she's telling you, here's how it is. I feel like that level of sophistication, to me, that was actually kind of subtle and again, very touching, very personal. But I don't think it's a movie that tries to take on everything that was going on with Nazism.
It's definitely not.
And
that's
it's
not,
like
that's not the movie.
And to
it's
ding
trying
it
to
for
be.
not doing
Yeah.
that feels a little bit unfair to me. But I understand that this is one of those bits of subject matter like slavery or like the Me Too movement or anything where you can say people have the right to stand at the side and say you shouldn't have handled it this way. They can do that. Right. But at the same time, I don't think this movie is trying to do anything like it's not trying to validate Nazis. It's just trying to say that you could be someone who could go either way, good or bad, and you're in this world where this is what you're being encouraged to become, you know?
Yeah, it's quite the opposite in my take, is that like they are actually saying how ridiculous and horrible Nazis are.
Yeah, throughout the movie. Like it's predicated on that almost being a joke that we all know they suck.
It's a joke to us, but it's like, but yeah, I don't know. This one took me by surprise, not because I didn't expect to like it. It just emotionally hit me. There's a couple really, really strong, you haven't seen it, so I'm not going to really go too much into it, but a really amazingly shot, hard-hitting, heartbreaking scene that really, really wrecked me. But yeah, I just love the performances.
Sam Rockwell was great too.
Sam Rockwell's great. Scarlett's great. Stephen Merchant's really funny in the short bit that he has.
How they come in and there's like 5 guys, and every time someone comes in, they all have to Heil Hitler everybody, but everyone says Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler, Heil Hitler. But it's like
10 times. Yeah. It's like exponentially increasing as more people come in.
And then didn't someone come in and say, "What are you guys doing?" And he says, "We're just coming in. We're just Heil Hitlering for a little while."
And like that's the thing too. Like I'm 100% subscribed to Taika's humor. And
It's so good, man.
I was dying laughing so many times during the movie. And I know we're all big fans of his, but like, I don't know, for whatever reason, like I didn't find it until later. I knew I wanted to experience it.
Right.
But, I don't know if you're like the final title card that it throws up at the end of the movie, it like made me cry.
Yeah.
Like I took a picture of it with my cell phone, like very discreetly so I would not forget it. Cause like,
you mean like the quote?
Yes, the quote. And it's just like really was a very nice punctuation at the end of this film. Like it was just, I love Jojo Rabbit.
And yeah, I mean, and above that, I think we all know, like Taika Waititi, like at this point, I think he's got a heart of gold. I really do. I think he's like a super, and he's funny and he's smart and he is inclusive, and I do think that like when he's made 10 movies, people might look back at this movie a little bit more favorably. I feel like it kind of sort of came and went in a weird way. And I think a lot of people are the very thing we're talking about, which is how he deals with these heavy things with this kind of light comedy. I think a lot of people just have a problem with that as an idea.
Sure. I think so too.
And I can see why. But I was like, if you're willing to accept that and if you can find the laughs, this is a really sweet, kind of powerful movie. I mean, to call it an anti-hate satire, that is what it is. It is about, and the moment it ends on is a total beat of just joy, just sweet joy. Yeah.
Cool. My number 2 is Joker.
That would be where we need your crickets.
Cricket. Where are you? Where are you, little Cricky Joe?
No, you were just waiting to see if we had it.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Right.
Okay, cool. So, Todd Phillips, Joker, DC property, which DC's choice to have these one-off stories is, to me, a really good move. And the last couple DC offerings have been great. This one, the best of them. This case study of a character who is deteriorating before our very eyes, with one of the best twists I've seen in a while. It's just a really well done movie. I think I've never really seen. Joaquin Phoenix did a similar thing with his body and The Master. It's just a lot of like manipulation and him becoming smaller and bigger, or
like looking like he's got like a curved spine or something.
And pushing people to the limit is something that Joaquin Phoenix seems to do on camera and in his movies and interviews, and he just has something about him that's so charismatic, and I just really enjoyed it. It just I can't really stress beyond this just how well I thought that this thing was acting. Yeah, it's just
I totally agree. I think he's amazing in the movie. I think it's one of the best performances of the year. I liked the movie. I don't know that I like connected with it as much as, I mean, as you. I'm glad you really enjoyed it. I did think it was overall a very good movie, but I don't know, something was missing from it for me. I don't know. And I didn't see it after like a lot of the like backlash started coming. I saw it like right when it came out, so I didn't really fall subject to some of that. So I wasn't like tainted by that, but just
There were people
I
who
can't
seemed like they
place it.
wanted this movie
Oh,
to like
definitely.
be evil or something, or they wanted it to be an
Yeah.
atrocity.
No.
And it's weird that
Yeah.
I find that I don't know that kind of.
Did you see it?
Oh no, honestly, I haven't
yet?
seen it.
Okay.
Like, and what's weird is it came out. I felt like it had been so processed by the culture that by the time I was
That's
catching
kind of
up
what I
with it-
mean, though.
Yeah.
Is that like I saw it soon enough that like I didn't have to like
Yeah.
deal with it, and like because I know people that haven't beyond you like that were like, yeah, I started hearing all this stuff about it, so I never saw it. And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, I'm not even saying
It
that
made over $1
necessarily.
billion. How'd you not see it?
I just
a lot
kind
of
of it just
people.
kind of slipped through the cracks for me, but I did think that like I did have that thought of, oh, I kind of hear what that is,
Right.
and I don't need to rush out and see that. Knowing that Joaquin Phoenix blows me away every time, and
Yeah.
that I have nothing. I mean, Todd Phillips, he might be seen as kind of a frat douche or whatever to some people, but like I don't have anything against any director who tries something different. What do you think about the fact that they've announced they want to do some kind of sequel because it was so successful, but it's not really designed to be part of a universe or anything?
Yeah.
What should they do?
I mean, honestly, like it can be a part of a universe.
They should make it a part of it.
I mean, it can be. I'm
Okay,
saying, like,
here's
the
the
way
thing.
the movie plays and ends.
yeah.
There's
absolutely.
Have you
a means
heard
to do it.
Joaquin's explanation for this? Because I think his explanation is actually pretty good. Because people have pointed out that would mean that when Bruce Wayne is grown up, he's fighting like a 70-year-old man in the Joker. And that's weird. It changes the Joker.
Oh, right.
But what Joaquin said was that what if the real Joker or the Joker we think of as the Joker is someone who was inspired by this guy?
Sure.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
Like, so Batman's fully grown, and here comes somebody that says they're the Joker, but it's actually somebody that's like throwing back, almost like a copycat way to this guy. And I was like, that's actually pretty clever.
And there were a lot
And
of
it could work.
copycats in the movie,
It could work
so
pretty
that could
well.
make
So,
sense.
but as far as tying it in with other things, the only thing I think is odd about that is the way that DC is. I mean, it seems to work for them in some ways, but it is willy-nilly. They've got like Gotham, and they've got like the shows they're doing now, and then they've got like the movies, and then they've got this movie, which isn't part of the Nolan movies, and it isn't part of the DC established universe, and it isn't part of any of the television things. There is something kind of interesting about DC's willingness to have alternate worlds, and that was the case in the comics too. They always had like different versions of Superman and that kind of thing. So
How
it's
soon we
interesting.
forget that Marvel had the same issue not too long ago.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Where they just completely were like, this is not in our world of cinema at all.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of came together all of a sudden. It's interesting, man.
You
So-
don't do it without a plan, and I think
you
that
need-
DC would have been maybe all along. Maybe the whole like DC extended universe or whatever that was called. Those movies. Maybe that's the blip, and the rest of it is this track record DC has of bringing in filmmakers and actors to make a very specific version of a character that doesn't have to be the definitive version because we'll do another one.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, it's weird that there are so many Jokers like in the last say 10 years. But so Heath Ledger or Joaquin, who's the best Joker to you? Or Jack Nicholson or Cesar Romero?
I mean, I spent more time watching Cesar Romero. I just think that his Joker was out of this world.
He's the only one who had the confidence not to shave his mustache and just put,
And put makeup
on.
over it? Gross. It was gross. But I'd say, Heath, just because Heath was a combination of the action and the character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree.
But Joaquin is...
It's just like a different take, and it's apples and oranges because this whole movie you're with that character.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot more to process with his performance, and what he's doing with it is a whole different thing. Where like what Heath Ledger was able to do with Joker in Dark Knight when that wasn't really the main character, like that's an achievement in its own, and like how impactful and powerful that performance is. I would pick it because of that criteria that it's
Absolutely.
like it's a Batman movie.
Yeah.
But this is a Joker film where like he's in basically every scene of the film.
so good.
And he's really
really good.
He's like there's going to be 2 actors that win best actor Oscars for playing the Joker. He's going to win. I mean, like he's amazing in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're both quite an achievement. But I would agree. I'd probably lean towards Heath only because of what he did and what he was able to accomplish with that character, like as a cultural moment, and in the second installment of a Batman trilogy. You know what I mean? It's like that's quite amazing.
He shot a rocket launcher at someone. I'm just saying, like
He killed a guy with a pencil.
And he also benefits just from the Nolan factor too. Like, what those films were a bit different, but I did enjoy the Joker too. But I just felt like it was his performance that really. I actually saw that twice in the theaters because I really did like it. But coming out the second time, like my takeaway was like I really love him.
Yeah.
More than I know that I, and maybe a part of it is like because I don't know where the movie is going, like because I'm kind of in the back of my mind checking myself, like are they really trying to tie this to something? Because I don't know if I can if I could let that go, maybe I'd enjoy the movie differently.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But I guess we're just conditioned like that now because they're like. It's a standalone. Well, psych, we're going to try to do a sequel now.
Right.
Because it made $1 billion.
Well, I mean, I think that's why, that used to be the way they decided to make sequels in Hollywood was wait till something makes $1 billion and then say, let's make another one. As opposed to now where you plan something as a trilogy. So at least this is like a legit, maybe there's the gold in them there hills, type situation. But I do think because it's a comic book associated movie, the notion of it being a sequel, like it seems less surprising that they would do that. But more surprising is the fact that DC would be careful to, or Warner's would be careful to separate it so much, given that they do have other movies happening right now that have a Joker character in them somewhere. So it's like, it's just, it could be confusing, but somehow it's not because it's such a different looking take. But all right, I guess my number 2 is one, and I've been talking about like acting that's really been blowing me away as the main force behind some of these movies, and my number 2 pick is one where it was just great to see like such a big cast have such fun in a movie, and it reminds me of the kind of all-star cast of my childhood, or almost like a mini-series on television where they would bring in all these actors. But Knives Out is just a joy. It's amazing. It's just I call it a perfect film. I have only seen it once, so I hesitate to say that, but it left me feeling so good, and we saw it like the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. And it was just a great time for my family to go see it and then kind of enjoy the movie and then talk about it afterwards. It's just the way that it's about sort of kindness and looking out for your fellow person and rewarding someone for being kind, and yet how it's a whodunit, and you find out the nature of the whodunit kind of unravels at some point in the story, and you see there's something else going on. But the fact that somehow it didn't lose tension because it keeps you guessing as to kind of like, well, what's the next step? What's this character doing? Well, what does this person know?
Right.
I guess what I'm saying is the way this movie plays its kind of central twist so early, I think a lot of movies would have lost steam after that. Mm-hmm. But the fact that this movie has people like Jamie Lee Curtis and Chris Evans and Michael Shannon and that's only 3. And Don Johnson, who had kind of a year. I don't know. It's just
Toni Collette.
Yeah. Oh my God. Lakeith Stanfield.
I mean, like what?
Yeah.
Daniel Craig having a blast. He's him having fun is fun to watch. He was great in Logan Lucky. Yeah,
it's this very similar kind of. You're surprised to see him doing this kind of turn.
Crazy
and
accent.
I think this movie was also enough of a success that he's being, they're talking about doing another kind of mystery with his investigator.
I hope they do.
I would love it if they just do one every few years for the rest of my life.
Do it. One of the most enjoyable times at the theater that I've had this year. Pure entertainment.
Yeah.
Audience. Love the movie.
And you know what I mean about like actors having a blast being actors
Absolutely.
together?
You can feel it in the theater that these people are just like just having a blast.
Yeah. And it's original.
But it just like jumps off the screen, and you're just like you're in the palm of its hand the whole time, wanting to know what happened. And even like you say, it kind of tips a card early on that most movies would lose you.
Yeah.
But there's so much else going on in this movie where characters kind of go away for a little while, and their reemergence means something. And one of the main characters in the movie, when that happens, you're like, oh, this is really the third act of this movie.
Yeah.
And it's like, and it kicks in, and you're just like, yes. And it's so satisfying, so entertaining. And just like funny and just it's managed so well as a movie and as an experience if you like mysteries.
And it kind of feels old-fashioned or like a throwback of some sort too, like to those Agatha Christie movies and miniseries, and that idea again of just getting a bunch of actors to do these characters where they're doing something a little bit, it's not cartoonish, it's a little heightened.
Yeah.
They're playing with their energy, like someone like Michael Shannon, playing with what we know about Michael Shannon, and he's doing a little bit of, he's twisting his image a little bit. I love to see actors when they are in the hands of a director who gives them room to play like that.
yeah.
So yeah, Knives Out.
That movie was so good. Aaron and I were like, "What was that?"
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, great movie.
And also, like, if you've been tracking Ryan Johnson's movies, and he always casts his buddy Noah Segan.
Yeah.
This is like maybe the best turn he's
great.
gotten
Yeah,
because
he's
he's
great.
kind of there throughout the movie, and he's just a little bit of kind of part of the chorus of characters who are kind of commenting on the action. But yeah, fun. Again, I keep saying it, but it seems like it was a fun movie to make.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that carries through to the last frame.
So my number 2, I don't know. There's maybe a shot in hell that maybe one of you has it, but it's one of the oldest movies on my list, or movies that came out earliest in the year. But it's one that has just stuck with me throughout the year. I've rewatched it a couple times. It's also one of the movies that I feel there's an aspect of it, a performance from it that got massively snubbed at the Oscars this year.
Which is a theme now.
Which is a theme, especially for a genre film like Us.
Oh, yeah. Lupita.
Jordan Peele
Yeah.
came out in the first quarter of the year. Lupita, I think she's phenomenal in it. I rewatched it even like this week just to kind of recap it, make sure I wanted it so high on my list. But I'm just in the Jordan Peele business. Like I just love his voice. I love how like modern and pop culture he is.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid to be it.
Consciousnesses.
Consciousnesses. And because I love that shit. And you know, we talked about it even like last episode, like with Watchmen, and like just mainstream popular things that are not afraid to talk about popular things.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's in an alternative reality of ours. But just like I love how many Easter eggs are in the movie. I love that experience of rewatching and picking up new things, and you know, things just making more sense, or just you seeing connections that were there all along that maybe you missed. And you know, I just love original horror movies too. Like that's just something I want more and more of. And there's all this conversation about like, you know, the best, you know, horror having a moment, and you know, mainly, I mean, he's one of the front runners in those conversations because of Get Out and Us and what he has coming in the pipeline this year. But I just like the idea of a different kind of horror movie. Like I think we talked about it when it came out. Just I mean, a mainstream huge box office smash hit of an all black family, you know, that's the lead of the film. You know, like every character that you follow from every to start to the end of the movie. It's not what you see in every horror movie, or even that what you see in every movie that comes out in theaters on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. So I think that makes Us unique, and that's making his voice unique in what he's bringing to the genre and bringing to the mainstream, and in terms of what people are paying money to see at a movie theater.
I just think that, yeah, as far as a voice that I'm glad to have out there, and the fact that he's staying in genre at least for a bit, that's just so cool. I love Jordan Peele.
And just the idea of like that for the past couple of years we've been doing this, and looking at my list, like the fact that every year I'm having like horror movies that I can say I genuinely love year in and year out, that are constantly making my top 3 or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it's just really reassuring to me and refreshing that like another year where Get Out was my favorite film 2 years ago, like I have another one of his movies in my top 3.
Yeah.
So I just love what he's doing, and I just think he's also just like an awesome guy. Like I love how he's able to speak about his films, and like how he makes himself available to like aspiring filmmakers, like watching videos of him like jump in on like film classes and talk about what he's doing and how he's doing it and how he's accomplishing what he's doing.
Yeah.
That's really, really important to make this feel like you can do it. And like, I know that's not about this movie.
No, I know.
But it is, because like he's doing it.
Sure.
So like, and he's doing it at a high level.
I was about to say at such a scale.
So like, I love that. And I, you know, and like I
And
said,
Us is a nice scaling up of what we liked about like the structure and the style of Get Out. I think Us is a bit scarier.
Yeah.
It is a bit more, you know, like more of a horror film.
Sure.
And again, yeah, production value wise, acting wise, you know,
it's just a great experience.
Tim
Like I said,
Heidecker and Elizabeth Olsen, Elizabeth Moss are incredible as well. Yeah.
So good. And you know, and on a rewatch, like I said, I've rewatched it like 3 or 4 times this year because it came out so early, and I think I saw it twice in theaters too. It's just like that ingestion of like I still love this movie more and more, and it's like that thing where you kind of start to see more of things that he put in the film that maybe I didn't see the first time. But and And the other thing really is like expectation for me was met, like because of where he came from with Get Out, and the marketing for us was so great, and the trailer was great, and the track they used was so great. It's just like I get bummed out sometimes when the expectations I go in with too high. But I mean, I felt like I genuinely loved Us, and number 2.
I need to rewatch that.
All right, Ronald, here it is.
My number one?
Not number one.
Okay, so let me give you some context for this. I was on a plane
With snakes?
on my way to...
If you say Snakes on a Plane is your number one, I'll accept it, but I don't like it.
That's allowed.
Yeah, right.
I was on a plane on my way to a wedding, and I turned on a movie that I am making sounds as each beat happens, and my then girlfriend is like, "Are you watching 3 movies? Is this like an anthology?" It's one movie, action packed, but it has subtitles, and I think that is a hindrance to people.
Explain that you mean, just so the listeners out there won't be confused. She's your fiance now.
My fiance.
Yes.
Yeah,
she's not. Yeah.
No, I
you
didn't
don't
break
mean
up with her.
ex-girlfriend, right?
So she's watching this movie. It's parts of this movie, and I can honestly say I haven't had an emotional roller coaster and a genre bending experience quite like Parasite.
Can I go ahead and say that's my number one as well?
John,
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like it before.
So often when you see a movie where you're going,
I haven't seen
where
anything
you're
like
going,
it.
what is this movie?
It's
in a
is this
bad
movie?
way. But this is like in an exciting way. Like as you said, it's like it's fun. It has elements of horror and of like a heist movie almost. And, But I mean, it's put together so beautifully. But you're right, that escalation, like that first half hour or so, where all the characters are being put into place, is so exhilarating and fun, and it feels like this real class conscious
Then it
kind of
just
satire, and then it turns into something else, and then it turns into something else.
But it really is there's a commentary about class, a real sharp commentary about class and how people view people, and it even being reduced to a scent.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
that's a major plot point, that there's a rich guy who thinks that poor people smell like the
people have a
bus,
scent.
or they smell like the public transit or something, he says,
Yeah.
but like
So-
he can smell it on the skin, and that actually becomes a major plot point, really. So yeah.
It has so many things that it you know how you can watch some films and not pay attention and still follow it? You can do that with this film, but you'll be missing 20 things that'll kind of be rewarded in the third act.
And it's beautifully shot.
Oh, man.
And I mean, it's amazing. Like the acting in this movie is terrific. Like
It's
from
so
the first
good.
scene, that family unit. I don't know how much you know about the movie. Did you see it, or do you know much about it?
I did. I haven't. I've removed it from what I've seen because I need to watch it again. Like I didn't truly watch this movie.
Oh, okay.
I tried to watch it and I was very like. You're saying not to be distracted, but I was very distracted.
Yeah.
I did really like this movie, but I need to watch it again, and it didn't make my 10, but I'm aware of what it means.
But anyway,
what it is,
but it's
rather.
like there's like a, I don't know, just a craftsmanship. There's a level of craft to the
Yeah.
filmmaking, the set design, the acting, everything about it, and it does seem like it's really firing on all cylinders with this movie. But I mean, the house, the way that it's constructed visually, the certain scenes really hinge on the layout of the house, the dynamics within the family, their little apartment. It tells you so much about their existence. I don't know. There's so much about the
little
movie.
kid in it.
Yeah.
Man, there's this kid in this film that's so fucking funny, man. Like, yeah, it's just really well done. It's a lot going on, and it works somehow. I didn't think that it was gonna make. I saw it really early, and I didn't think it was gonna make as many lists as it did. And I was really surprised, just because it is. Man, there has to be some sort of shift that happens culturally where, like, stop being assholes about things that are outside of the culture that you have, and Farewell was another movie that like kind of did this, like, it was unreal. If you were willing to read the subtitles, but I know a lot of people that just are allergic to doing it. It's fucking ridiculous.
Because if you could get past subtitles, this movie is funny and has characters with clearly drawn goals, and they're very relatable, and the stuff they're up against is very relatable to stuff you're up against wherever you are. So there's no real excuse for needing the American version of this.
Yeah.
Except for, I don't want to read subtitles, and I'd like to see, Sandra Bullock or somebody in it, George Clooney or something. Have you heard that Bong Joon-ho is developing an adaptation of some sort for HBO?
Right.
And the only thing that makes me think that could be interesting is that, outside of the fact that it could be very interesting, but I just mean that one thing that interests me about that is that it's not clear whether, it's like the Watchmen thing, it's not clear whether they're talking about doing a sequel or a spinoff or an American version of this story. I would be least interested in seeing these characters recast as Americans and do an American version, but taking this world or a few of these characters and doing something interesting with them, I'm open to that. But I'm really annoyed at the notion that American audiences need some kind of remake, because this movie really is grabby. It's not,
It's so good, man. It's accessible too. It feels really accessible. If you were to it's the Dragon Ball Z, if that makes of Korean films. Like, it is so accessible. It's not complicated subs. It's not like real complicated subjects. That it's just kind of day-to-day stuff.
Right.
Just really well done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Parasite.
I need to rewatch that, man. If I was gonna rank it, it was in my 15, but I feel like I was so
it's 15.
No, it was number 12, I think, or 13. Yeah. But I left it feeling like I did not focus enough on this movie, and I should have. And
that was me watching the Righteous Gemstones, where every time I would put it on, I would be sleepy. Yeah. And so I would get to the end of an episode.
That's basically what happened to me.
And I would be like, "Oh man, I'm loving this, but I'm so sleepy. I'm not retaining it." You know. And so it makes me reluctant to watch the next one or whatever. But I loved what I saw. But I can't. I wanted to. That show could have been on my list probably because of how much I admired certain aspects of it.
Awesome. It was so good.
I didn't forget it. It was on my also rans for the last episode. But that movie, that show's great. I mean. I wrestled with myself, do I really just say this as my number one movie of the year? But I really can't say anything else, because when I'm 60, 70, hopefully I live that long.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'll ever forget seeing this movie in the theater. But Avengers Endgame, I saw 5 times in the theater.
Awesome.
And every time I saw it,
5
times, yeah, with different people each time, and myself one extra time, alone. I mean.
Did you catch the fight me tone in that when he said 5 times? Yeah.
No, so
I'm just saying, it took my dad, it took Lauren, Aaron and I, myself a couple times. I literally wanted to watch this as many times as possible, just chasing that high of that time.
Right.
So many moving parts, and yet it works.
It does.
And so many actors get a chance to do something cool and have an arc.
Yeah.
And everyone from Paul Rudd to Chris Hemsworth to Robert Downey Jr. to all these people who it kind of is their movie for a certain spell.
Portion of it, yeah.
I think that's a really cool model of how to throw all these characters together. Sure. And it means some people don't get those moments. Some people are just kind of backgrounded. But even that is cool to see Rocket Raccoon hanging out with the Avengers. I mean, come on. Yeah. It's the fact that they managed to make those 2 all-star movies, Infinity War and Endgame, not giant messes, is an amazing thing in and of itself. But the fact that within that they did some of the best storytelling they've done in all of the Marvel movies is really amazing to me.
And it's quite, and I mean, beyond the achievement that it is, when we were talking earlier, I look back again years from now, it's going to be a movie that I remember just genuinely loving.
Yeah.
Not just because I saw it so many times or the feelings of it. Like when I even watch it at home now, I get goosebumps at those moments, that I did in the theater. I don't have the crowd screaming with me. Literally, I was standing up cheering.
Oh, well, how fun is that?
It's not a sporting event.
Yeah,
that's what I felt like. And I will forever be nostalgic for that. Yeah. And that's another movie that I have that feeling. We talked a couple times, about Indiana Jones, or even recently Guardians of the Galaxy. Just feeling that magic.
Well, The Force Awakens was big
Force Awakens, another example. I felt the same way with that.
But now that Star Wars doesn't seem to get that that reliable thing where a whole room full of people. I mean, it's like, as much as I enjoyed the Rise of Skywalker, it was a mixed bag for a lot of people. Endgame was definitely the bigger crowd pleaser. I don't just mean financially. I just mean if you're in that room when you were watching it, you people were more on the same page.
For sure.
Than they were,
and a lot
Star
less
Wars.
there's not a like most people really liked at least that film.
Yeah.
You know. But just the idea of what it culminated from, and like just the idea of the unprecedented nature of what that movie was, for Hollywood, for what we pay to go see monies for in the theater. You can criticize all you want, like what the theater is becoming. If it's all superhero and franchise IP, have the conversation all day. But for me, myself, going to the theater, seeing Avengers Endgame on opening night with my friends, my wife, dressed in my shirt, Captain America shirt, like I don't think I've ever experienced that level in my life. Like even as a kid, like I have very, very, very clear memories of movies and just like feeling that magic. And I think that the fact that it happened when I'm a 38-year-old man, that happened, like that's even more magical to me because like I'm chasing that every day to feel that.
I don't know
what
what the next movie would be to make us feel that way.
I don't know.
Because it has to have that kind of cultural capital behind it. Like when you talk about The Force Awakens, that was new Star Wars that felt right after all these years.
Totally.
And it was seeing the Millennium Falcon again, that kind of shit.
Sure.
This was the culmination of this huge beloved series with all these great actors. And I mean, so it's like you can't manufacture that. Even a movie being great can't make you feel that way. It has to be
at that
built
level
up over time.
Yeah.
All this storytelling, the weight of it all has arrived at this one moment, and a character makes a choice that resonates backwards with all the stuff you know. You don't get to make those moments happen in just a 2-hour span. You have to build it up and make people wait for it, And there is something about just knowing that was the plan and then seeing them do it. That movie, yeah.
You guys know how I felt about Infinity War. Like I didn't love it.
I remember.
Yeah.
Endgame was.
Yeah.
So I recently watched Endgame again on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It is a perfect fucking film.
It's
like,
great.
It is.
It
It
really
is so
in the
good.
context of what they did
context,
to get,
yeah.
to
It is
get to that, like you
perfect.
just said, the weight it's carried from whatever 5+ films. To manage to try to like really kind of land the vast majority of, or to kind of all those balls in the air, just like somehow most of them, if not all of them, depending on your opinion, land. It's just unprecedented. And
yet it didn't feel like an exercise or a chore or anything.
No.
It told a little backstory. That was my pet peeve.
Yeah.
It told a little backstory. It really connected all the things. I fucking love that film, and it was crazy because like I came in with the residual feelings of Infinity War. I was like, man, I didn't love that, and then I was like, whoa, this is everything that I wanted in the first one, and it just kind of answered all the questions. It did really well. All the fights together. They said that the women coming together and fighting was cheap. I fucking loved it.
I mean,
I loved it.
I think that kind of moment, it's a fun thing for them to do, just to say like, let's
feel like
just
an
show
example,
you how
like,
many.
what do you like? It's an example of like what should have happened. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like
What do
if
people
it didn't
want?
happen, there'd be a problem that it didn't happen. But it happened,
loved it,
and it's a
man.
problem. It's just like these are all characters. There's a moment that happens that is, you may want to. The critic would say it's fabricated or it's kind of manufactured. But damn, if that isn't awesome to see,
And to be just reminded, oh yeah, there's all these cool characters, and
Yeah.
it's like for this one little window, this little second, they're all kind of in the same spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
No,
The scene where like all the fast characters were kind of like running with it. It's just like that was so cool, man. Like this is a good movie.
I mean, I don't know that I'm surprised at all, but are you at all surprised that Robert Downey Jr. didn't get a nomination for that?
Not really. I'll be honest. I mean,
man.
I mean, the performance is there, and like it hits.
Yeah,
Like, it got me.
especially over the entire arc of that character. It's there.
Totally.
But it was
I
so
mean,
long ago in the year, and it's just not the kind of movie they recognize for acting.
Again, the genre stuff, comic
Yeah.
book. It's amazing to see those kind of nominations get through when they do. But
So if you could slot someone in for Best Actor, Adam Sandler or Robert Downey Jr., who would you give
Adam
the nod to?
Sandler.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think yeah, and I think at this point in those movies, like I don't know, supporting actor would probably be a better push for him.
Yeah, no, right.
Yeah.
I just don't want to. I mean, to me, the reason why there's a big reason why it feels like it's his movie.
Yeah.
And it's like that central moment in the climax. That the way he plays those final moments, incredible. Robert Downey Jr. was always electric.
He's so good.
He's always been that guy who you can trust to just really juice whatever project he's in. But him and Tony Stark was a perfect melding of an actor in a role.
Amazing.
And he's got that. I mean, it's like he doesn't have to work again for this or many other lifetimes.
He can go to conventions for the rest of his life if he wants.
Make as many Doolittles as he wants.
He can show up anytime.
In theaters.
True.
Anytime a cute little kid is getting a prosthetic limb delivered, he can show up as Tony Stark and open up the briefcase and pull it out. But I mean, it's like I imagine that's got to be fun. If you're at the point where you can maybe insulate yourself from some of the more annoying aspects of fandom, it's got to be pretty awesome to be so associated with a role that people love like that.
Spider-Man hugging Iron Man.
I know.
Come on.
I know.
Come on. If you didn't feel anything.
Think about that.
How about Doctor Strange looking at Iron Man and holding up the finger
the one.
to say, "This is the way. This is the one."
Everything you're saying, just think about that.
I'm getting chills talking
That's
about
within
it.
like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You just mentioned like 2 or 3, and we haven't even talked about Mjolnir. We haven't talked about Avengers Assemble. We haven't talked about I Am Iron Man.
Well, I mean, you say Mjolnir, but the biggest moment of that is I knew it.
Sure,
yeah.
but I mean, I could watch like the memes, the have you seen like those like videos like where it's like that scene that shows like an entire soccer stadium like cheering when he catches the hammer?
Yeah.
I could watch those on a loop because that's my body. That's every emotion in my body. Every time I fucking watch that scene when he gets it, he comes back like this. I mean, I'm feeling it now. The Avengers Assemble, the Iron Man, like even the funeral scene, like it's just all so effective. The last 30 minutes of that movie, I don't know how it's perfect.
How do you make 30 minutes the culmination of 20 movies somehow? And yet they did
it works
like that, like
cheap.
that.
Right.
It's just amazing.
Yeah. It didn't cheapen it. It just did a really good job of. It's thoughtful. There's somehow in all of this, it kind of felt a little wobbly at some points, but it stuck the landing because there's some thoughtfulness that goes into it. Sure, it's a cash cow, but they care enough to know that this will last forever. If you do it the right way, people will be talking about this set of movies forever.
Totally.
Right? You could fuck it up and people be like, man, that was
good while it lasted.
Yeah, or you could be like, I cannot believe that the Hulk did, like it's all this stuff. And that's seems to be the thing that they care about is the legacy of this story. Yeah. And it worked. So
that's my number 1 for the year.
That's a good one, man.
I got to be honest. I feel like I tried to talk myself out of it a couple times. Like, there's got to be like,
that's fine.
Is there something else? And,
it was at one point number 1 on my list too, Steve. So I know what you mean.
Like, I can't lie. Like anybody that knows me, like I tell my wife, I tell my friend Lauren, my buddy at work, Dak, and he's like, "Yeah, that's your number 1, right?" I'm like, "Yes." I can't change. Like I'm trying because I feel like it's wrong for whatever fucking reason.
No,
but this is my list. It's my favorite movie of the year.
So, Steve, are you saying this is the best movie of the year, or is this your
Objectively
favorite?
speaking, it's the most well-made, perfect movie of the year. Every other film, you're late to the game.
That makes sense.
Okay?
You're done.
You're done. Goodbye. But yeah, overall, good year for movies.
Oh yeah,
I think a great year for movies.
I think a great year for movies.
The more I go over this, like I'm looking at like movies in my top 25 when I'm going on my Letterboxd list, and I'm like, these 25, any of these movies could probably find a place in my top 10 for the year.
Yeah.
Like I really, really enjoyed a lot of movies this year.
Me too.
And loved a lot too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So loved like anything that's like jumping out to you guys that like you think like were honorable mentions that like didn't make your list.
Dolomite Is My Name should have been high on the list. I just kind of
I love that movie.
Netflix does a thing to me where
Such a feel-good thing,
Super entertaining.
Netflix does this thing to me where like because it's on Netflix, I guess I didn't think of it like
it's like
a movie.
It's like a negative.
Yeah,
it's like a stigma.
Yeah, but it was incredible. I saw it an early screening of it. I thought it was out of this world.
Yeah.
And Us made my list a couple times. It was like 5, and then it was not on the list.
Right.
For me, Jojo Rabbit, Midsummer. I really liked El Camino.
Midsummer. One day we got to talk about that movie, man.
Yeah.
You got some explaining to do.
What was the last one you said?
I said El Camino.
Oh, El
I really
Camino.
liked.
Did you see Midsummer?
Yes.
Midsommar.
That movie fucked me up, man. I'm there for like 2 nights. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
I can't deal with this.
That's got a weird lingering energy.
Did you guys like Toy Story 4?
Yes.
Yeah, I liked
Oh
it.
my god,
That
man.
was also rated for me.
No, honestly, that was one like How to Train Your Dragon 3 that I had to kind of remind myself that it would happen this year.
Yeah.
It's been such a long, weird
I think
year.
the reason I went with Dragon was because I as much as I love Toy Story 4, like I feel like Toy Story 3 really was like perfect.
Right.
And Dragon, I love those movies. Like, you know, I've said it many times on this podcast. Like, they just mean a lot to me. Like,
Yeah.
and my wife, like, it was a song in our like the main theme from the first film is like one of the songs from our wedding, and I just feel like they completely nailed it.
Yeah.
Like the last 10 minutes of How to Train Your Dragon 3, like destroyed me.
Yeah.
Like it's perfect. But yeah, so Toy Story 4 like just barely didn't make my list. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was close to making it. I really loved Ready or Not.
That's
Did
one
you
that
guys-
I really wanted to see.
You
Yeah.
guys see that
I just saw it.
with Samara Weaving?
Man, it should. So it was one of those movies that I wanted to put really high, and
Yeah.
for some reason it just didn't make. That was one. So Knives Out in Ready or Not are really high up there, man. Like,
Yeah.
I feel weird that I didn't put Ready or Not on the list.
It's so fun and
It's
so
a
entertaining.
fun
Yeah, no, it
movie,
looks
man.
great.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Oh, John.
Did either of you see Ford vs Ferrari?
No, I want to,
No.
though. That's another one.
That was that was great. And then I also I really liked Little Women. I just saw that last night.
Yeah.
To try to get ready. That just barely missed it. Peanut Butter Falcon,
Peanut Butter Falcon was so good.
phenomenal.
I
haven't
saw
seen
that
it
movie.
yet.
I broke down crying.
Me too.
man.
Yes.
Yeah, that was really
I'll
good.
add you to our text thread with the crying emoji.
Please do.
You've just gained entry.
No John Wick. No John.
John Wick's in my top 20.
Last night,
You saw it last night?
the Amazon movie last night.
Oh, late night.
Late night. It was late night? I thought it was last
Late
night.
night.
Late night. I'm sorry. I have late night here.
Yeah.
Late night.
Would you lose
like
your
that,
glasses
too.
today or something?
Yeah, I need some glasses. Did you see Late Night?
No. That's the one with Mindy
John.
Kaling.
Yes.
Yeah.
I liked
It was
That's
so good, man.
I think I like Brittany Runs a Marathon more. That was also an Amazon.
Yeah. I
That
didn't
was
see
really
that
funny.
yet. I didn't see that yet.
I'm just gonna throw off a couple other ones real quick. Hustlers, I thought was really good.
Great movie.
John Wick, I did really like. Some that I made a couple that like nobody's talking about. Loose,
I didn't see that.
dude. Loose, so good. You would love it. The King, I actually really liked. Netflix movie. Timothy
I didn't
Chalamet.
see the
Yeah.
King. I heard it was
Henry
good.
the Fifth. I'm not really
Henry the King.
Henry the King.
Yeah.
I watched Two Popes. That was actually really good. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Waves.
Oh,
you see
still need to
Waves?
see it.
No.
What the fuck, Ronald?
Yeah.
I can't.
You're gonna love
I
that
couldn't
movie.
find a place that
Oh
played
my
it near
God.
me. Where'd you see
It's
it?
Columbia.
That at Columbia?
Yeah.
Get that.
It's really good.
I want to see
And
that.
zero people. I saw one of the video bloggers I follow on YouTube, Chris Stuckman. He mentioned this movie. I hadn't even heard of it. Official Secrets. It's Keira Knightley. It's like based on a true story about like.
Does it take place now or is it a period piece?
It's like it takes place, I think, in like the early 2000s.
Oh.
But it's basically about the woman who she was like the British intelligence whistleblower who leaked the NSA memo about like the U.S. and U.K. joint effort to like basically force war with Iraq. And it's about her. Her name's Catherine Gunn, but she's in it, and like, what's the dude's name who played Ozymandias in Zack Snyder's Watchmen?
Matthew Good.
Matthew Good is in it.
I'm surprised I pulled that
Yeah,
so
I
quickly.
could like the name is like there always, but knew nothing about that until I saw it pop up on his list. Ray Fiennes is in it. Matt Smith's in it. I thought it was great.
I'd
Like
check it
you
out.
guys would definitely dig it. I think that might be on one of the streaming platforms, but it ought to just say like I named a bunch of movies just for people that may have never heard of them. There's a wealth of really good film this year, I think, and we've mentioned some in our top 10, but you know there's tons of other lists out there on the internet. Academy Awards coming up. Not that they're the most representative of what's great out there,
Right.
But there are some great movies in those categories too. So we hope you guys like can check it out. If you saw something that we didn't talk about,
Yeah. Please tell us.
Tell us, because sometimes we just miss shit. We try not to, but it happens.
Cool.
So, damn, that was it.
That was it. I liked our system.
10,
I think it worked
22.
pretty well.
Yeah, it was a little more efficient,
Yeah,
I think.
I like that.
And it kind of funneled it into like a really strong conversation about the ones that were higher up.
Yeah.
Oh, what's coming up episode wise, John? We got like an Oscar episode we're gonna try to do maybe?
We'll probably do
Or
some kind of Oscar episode. Maybe the Schmovie Awards will come back this year. Who knows?
movie awards.
Oh, we need that.
Yeah.
We are supposed to do an episode where we talk about the Scream films. That's another
Oh
one.
yeah,
That'd
yeah.
be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do that in this kind of early part of the year when there's not so much prestige stuff coming out. I don't
That'd
know.
be fun. But yeah, so movieshmovie.com, you can find us, any of the podcast platforms you subscribe to. And again, if you saw some movies this year that we didn't talk about, you can email us at movieshmovie@gmail.com or on a Facebook page. Pass it along. Share that info if you have it. But if you guys are good,
Yeah, I'm good.
as always, you've made our day. Thanks.
Bye.